Well, here's why I think it's pretty certain we're going to get another stimulus check coming our way soon. Look at this headline here. This is just yesterday. Uh, Buoyed by U.S. virus aid, millions avoided poverty. Now, this article goes a long way in here. But what it says is that, okay, we're at a poverty rate of about 12.9. That's 12.9% of everybody in the United States is at or below poverty. So they're in what we call poverty. Now, what's poverty? That's for the government describes it, and there's all kinds of ways of describing it, but mostly it's a family of four that makes $28,000 or less. Now, that's arguable and everything, but it doesn't matter because it's whether that's going up or down is what's more important. So now it's at 12.9%. Now, before coronavirus, it was at 12.5%. So it's about the same. So that means with 30 million people lost their jobs and everything, that it's all gone. All this economy is gone and everything. And the amount of people under poverty has changed very, very little. Now, that's because of the stimulus programs, okay? The government put trillions and trillions of dollars into this. And actually, there's two studies that this article talks about. One, I think, is people at Columbia University, another group out in Chicago. And they estimate that it should have been about 16%. So instead of 12%, it'd be like 30% more if the stimulus didn't happen. So imagine how many people are bitching now because they don't have money. Imagine if we didn't have the stimulus, what would be happening? Now that's a difference of about 12 million people. So the stimulus money that was given out kept 12 million people out of poverty. Yeah. And that's where the numbers are. So that's why if this money goes away, and a lot of it will by the end of next month, then people are going to drop down, out of poverty. And they estimate, let's see, here's some interesting figure. The researchers estimate that the CARES Act, that's the stimulus package, will increase safety net spending this year by $260 billion, more than what the government spends all last year to support incomes of families that are not elderly. So the amount of money that the government spends on families that are not old is about the same amount as the extra money they put in the stimulus. So it's like double. And that is why I think people are going to pass a stimulus, because you're going to put 12 million people into poverty again. Of course, all these numbers are debatable, but the pain. Now, the pain, who hears the pain most? Elected officials, right? So, and what do you think this year is? An election year. So you tell me if you don't think the politicians, in an election year with everybody hurting, that they're barely getting by, and they're going to pull the rug out on this stuff right before, like a couple months before an election. That is really hard for me to conceive. But here's some other things about, and the article gets through here. Let's see. Now it talks about this one lady who was a travel agent up in Seattle, I think, and said as travel plunged in March, so did her hours that she worked until the hotel closed and left her without income. So this woman who worked for a hotel, was left without income. Now this is interesting when it happens, because it's happening to a lot of people. Although she immediately applied for unemployment insurance, she got no help for 2 months. And I hear that from a lot of Let's Go Help people. They're waiting, they're banging on the phones, nothing helped. This lady had to wait 2 months. Multiple calls a day to the Washington State Unemployment Office went unanswered. Someone once put her on hold for 2 hours, then cut her off, she cried. When food ran short, she limited herself to 2 meals a day in order to feed her 12-year-old daughter. She fell 5 months behind in her mortgage. Now, I just did a video on mortgage and rent. See, people did this. If you're in this situation, man, that's what I'm trying to say. You are not alone. She says, my whole body really ached with stress, and my head to my toes. That's what happens. You're in problems like that. Your body feels it, and that makes you sick. Then $7,600 suddenly arrived for 8 weeks of back benefits, including the $600 weekly bonus. Counting the stimulus package, her income was $15,500 for 3 months. So she was now making over $5,000 a month. And this was nearly 60% more than she would have earned if she was continue working. That's what's going on. There's a lot of pain, a lot of aggravation. People are making more with this unemployment. That's why I want people to apply for, more people apply for that. Because, see, what's going on with the Corona programs, they're still there. The only one that is not there anymore is from the IRS, the $1,200. I mean, that's there if you haven't gotten it, but most people have. And so that's not there. But the business grants and loans, that's still there. There's a lot, of $1 billion and billions and billions in the emergency money at the SBA, and billions in the PPP. And they made the PPP easier to PPP. And it's easier to write it off. My son, who runs a nonprofit, is using that money, and he's able to write off all the money that he got. Oh, I think the White House is after me. So that's all still there. And the unemployment. Now, what you have to realize in the unemployment, you have to go and make sure you're applying to the pandemic unemployment. This is more liberal. It's not your traditional unemployment. More people are eligible for that, even as a caregiver. And this article talks about somebody who had to give up their job to care for a child. So she couldn't get unemployment in other circumstances because she quit. You don't get unemployment for quitting, but she does, because these are new rules. And look at, and not only did she quit, but she, you can make 40-50% more than when you're working. Now that's nuts, but that's what it is. And you believe me, every fat cat who learns about a new tax break, if it's morally right or wrong, they're applying for it, right? And that's how I see government benefits. If you could get without it, fine. But to help you if you need, you have to know. And you're not, they don't advertise, and then it's so complicated if they do advertise or tell you about it, but they don't have advertising money. They just expect you to know. And the fat cats will hire other fat cats to go find it for them. And the average person on the street doesn't know that, so many people now could be getting, 60% more than the jobs they're making money at. But they don't know. And there's other data like that in here. Here, listen to this. Some analysts warn that hardship has grown, even if poverty rates have not. This economist at Northwestern University notes that food insecurity is twice its pre-pandemic rate, and child hunger has risen under more. So more people are food insecure, twice as much, and children more times than that. Okay. Here's another interesting item. The effect has been significant. This economist and his two colleagues at the University of Chicago found that among workers eligible for unemployment, 2/3 can collect sums that exceed their earnings. Okay, so everybody that's eligible for unemployment, 2/3. Okay, what's 2/3? Like 66.6%. Will collect more than what they were making when they had the job. 2/3 collect more than having a job. The poorest fifth, so the 25 of the poorest people that are eligible to collect unemployment, can double their pay that they lose. At least double the pay that they lose. So you have 25% of the people that are eligible for unemployment could double their pay. 2/3, two-thirds could get two-thirds can collect some that exceed, so they get more. Two-thirds get more than what they're making, but so you get two-thirds get more than they're making on the job they get from unemployment. 25% double their money. Yeah, so that's what's going on now, and that's why, gosh, you have to realize that, and that's why even if you're not sure you're not eligible, if you're eligible or not, just apply. Don't lie and tell a bunch of lies, and because it's impossible to know the rules because they change them all the time. I mean, when a program comes out, all of a sudden it changed. Like they just changed the rules again for the PPP. So now it's a lot easier to get and turn it into a grant instead of a loan and all this kind of stuff. So the name of the game is change, and it's changing all the time. So don't think you know something until you ask the horse's mouth. The rest of us are guessing. And then even the horse's mouth turns around. That's why you got to get another horse. Find another horse to ask. And that's why your elected officials help. The joy I have now in doing the work and Let's Go Help People. So many people are saying, hey, I called my congressman, called my senator, their state office. They're helping me a lot. They call me back. I got a friend there. They're giving me the answers. And I just call them up. They're like on my staff, but they're free. And they have better inside dope on the dopes than anybody else. So that's what I'm trying to do with Let's Go Help, is help people learn the system. Look at all the stuff that's there. Takes work, yes. No guarantees, yes. But it's real.